Good evening and thanks for being a part of today's edition of Prime News on My Media Prime Television. My name is Fon Quinter, broadcasting live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital. Well, I begin today's edition of the news in the southwest region of the country, where Prime Minister and Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute, met with various stakeholders today in Boya to evaluate resolutions taken during the major national dialogue, especially the content of the special status. Clarice Ekowe reports from Boya.
Here at Mountain Hotel, where the population of the southwest region have turned out in their numbers, including different traditional dances drawn from the southwest region. They are here to welcome the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute. The purpose of his visit to the southwest region is within the framework of the major national dialogue and resolutions that were arrived at. It should be noted that one of the pertinent resolutions arrived at during the major national dialogue was a special status granted to the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon. We shall now move away and listen to some of the discussion, what the discussion centered around as the Prime Minister met with chiefs, traditional rulers, journalists, among other groups. Let's take a listen to some of these heads of the various groups in Bedford and what the chat was all about.
Our expectation, the visit of the Prime Minister, the southwest region, at this point of time where we are facing challenges in our southwest and northwest region. We expect that the Prime Minister is here today for us to look for lasting solutions to see how we can solve the socio-political crisis within our country. And we also expect that there are some measures that the chiefs also have taken that we will be having a one-on-one discussion with the Prime Minister to transmit our message to the head of state. We believe that as the Prime Minister is here, our voices will be heard this time around. Since after the national dialogue, we realize that there hasn't been any solution, and we believe this time around our message will go directly to the head of state. The chiefs also should be considered, and their opinion also should be.
We are happy that our father, His Excellency John Gute, is here today under the leadership of President Nolinga. What we expect is peace. We want to talk about one indivisible Cameroon, and I want, as a father, since as he's here, he should work with us so that those guys in the bush can put some sense into their discourse so that they should come and join us, so that peace should reign. As far as AFCOM is coming, we should work hand in hand so that peace should reign. Yes, because those guys are not extraterrestrials, they are children. I want to tell you that now we are even doing door-to-door mobilization to make them to know that there is reason for peace should reign. And I also want to tell the local population that those who want to avoid the terrorists, they are risking their life. You should at least inform the forces of law and order of what is going on in your community, because they are not like, they don't have medicine, they don't have witchcraft to know that Amazonians are coming from this direction. So we should help the forces of law and order. I'm talking as a chief that the local population should help the forces of law and order so that peace should reign. Remember, we stand for one and indivisible Cameroon. This is my flag, and I will never stop loving my lovely country, Cameroon.
Reflecting to those different opinions and what was discussed during the tete-a-tete with the Prime Minister, I am Clarice Ekowe reporting from my Media Prime.
Clarice Ekowe reporting there. Now, Cameroon's Ministry of Defense has issued a statement 4 days after the attack on government forces by separatist fighters in Bamesing northwest region of Cameroon. Communication spokesperson Colonel Siri Serge Atonfak reacted yesterday, September 20, and student journalist and internship Tamo Manuela read through the 2-page document and compiled the following.
After the attack in Bamesing Goketunja division that saw at least 15 B elements killed, Ministry of Defense has finally issued a statement concerning the attack against these government forces who were killed on September 16, 2021 in Bamesing Northwest region. A number of issues were raised by the ministry, which are separatist forces getting more sophisticated with weapons, and that there is a clear link between these separatist forces and external forces who have been providing heavy weapons. Most of the fighters operate across the Cameroon border. Their attack is against international humanitarian law, IHL. The head of Communication Department, Cyril Serge Atongfag, notes in his communique that the dynamism of the armed conflict has changed gradually with improvised explosive device and RPGs. The armed spokesperson equally reaffirms that the servicemen will continue to fight in an effort to protect the civilians and Cameroon's territorial integrity. Out of these points raised by the Ministry of Defense, the main point raised in this statement is that separatist forces are now connected with fundamentalist groups.
Now, Dr. Fridolin Kerr, philosophy lecturer at the University of Yaoundé, has been set free after being abducted by security officials. He made an announcement of his release on his social media platform, as Audrey Zaza tells us.
In this video that went viral on social media, the university lecturer, Dr. Fridolin Kerr, is seen in a delicate situation, inviting his social media community to get connected, and another voice heard at the background. Colonel Bankwi Emile, mentioned by the university lecturer, is the chief of the military security. The lecturer in the Department of Philosophy of the University of Yaoundé 1 said he was held against his will in the office of the colonel. I am in a delicate situation right now in the office of Colonel Bankwi, and I have been slapped by the latter in one of his elements. I am here against my will, and the colonel is the one permitting me to tape this video. In this video, Dr. Nkei states that he was summoned for his positions on the war in the Northwest and Southwest regions. He equally took advantage of his live video to reiterate his position regarding the crisis in the restive regions. We had a conversation regarding the military, the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions, and I do not know what will follow. I told him I am not in favor of the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest. I am against the killings of Cameroonians. And despite the slaps I received, I reiterate my wish for the authorities to arrive at a peaceful solution to end the crisis. This war should stop. It's a political affair. I will convince the colonel present here. His arrest comes following his refusal to comply with the 2 summons he received. He was summoned a first time to report to the Military Security Division on Wednesday, July 21, 2021, on grounds of inciting insurgency and mutiny within the Defense and Security Forces. He received a second convocation after refusing to comply with the first summons to report there on July 28, 2021. But Dr. Fridolin Kerr said the convocation letters arrived late. However, the university lecturer has announced on his Facebook page that he's been released but is in the hospital.
Now, the 7th contingent of the National Gendarmerie, which was part of the United Nations Multi-Dimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission MINUSCA in the Central African Republic, has returned to the country. A ceremony to honor their return took place over the weekend in the nation's political capital, as Giant Gang tells us.
After a 1-year mission as part of the Multi-Dimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in the Central African Republic, the 7th contingent of the National Gendarmerie is back in Cameroon. Deployed last September 2020, the gendarmes of the 7th contingent were welcomed by the commander of schools and training centers of the National Gendarmerie and the Chief Health Service of the National Gendarmerie. The welcome ceremony took place September 18, 2020 at the courtyard of the School Command and Gendarmerie Instruction Centers. Upon their arrival on the Cameroonian soil, the gendarmes of the 7th contingent were subjected to COVID-19 tests, after which they had consultations conducted by a team of psychologists. The commander of the schools and training centers of the Gendarmerie presented the hierarchy's warm congratulations to the gendarmes for having carried out a successful mission. He seized the opportunity to express the congratulations of High Command to the Cameroonian gendarmes for raising the profile of the National Gendarmerie at the international level. The welcome home ceremony ended with an address by the commander of the schools and training centers of the Gendarmerie, informing them of the upcoming flag return ceremony. Meanwhile, a meal was offered to the returning gendarmes by the Secretary of State in charge of the National Gendarmerie.
CPDM militants in Kamyambeta and those in Dibong subdivision, Nyong and Kele division, Central region of Cameroon, have protested against bad governance, injustice, and corruption. Militants in Kamyambeta mounted roadblocks, calling on officials to put in order at the level of grassroots against of the political capital. Details right ahead. Amateur videos of angry CPDM militants in Kamyambeta, a locality along the Bafia-Yaoundé highway, mounted barricades along the streets protesting against the violation of laws following the reorganization of grassroots organs of the party. The angry militants mounted roadblocks on the main stretch of road, hindering circulation for over an hour, with placards denouncing bad governance. Calm was restored by defense and security officers present at the scene, who called on militants to channel their worries to appropriate quarters. It was a similar situation in the Nyong and Kele division, still in the Central region of Cameroon, where CPDM militants called on officials to put order, especially at the organization of grassroots organs. They carried placards promising to disrupt elections if officials do not look into the situation. The militants were protesting against corruption, injustice, and bad governance, as they said the list of some comrades were rejected, though eligibility conditions were fulfilled. CPDM militants in the Nyong and Kele division have, however, called on officials to look into the complaints they raised in order for peace to be restored within the party. Now, the three wings of CPDM political party Limbe 1B have new presidents. They emerged victorious following an election on September 18, aimed at reorganizing the party. Details with Kuma on the way.
The September 18, 2021 reorganization elections of basic organs of the CPDM party in Fako 1B opened after 8 a.m. in 7 polling stations of the section, including Botalan, Uvia, Ngeme, Mukundange, Batoke, Mukindi, and Mukunda villages. The militants rallied behind 3 list heads for the CPDM party in Fako 1B. 2 candidates contested for the WCPDM list, and a single candidate went in for the YCPDM list. The battle of the day was at the level of the men's wing for Fako 1B section, which saw 3 candidates contesting the top-notch political position. Among the 3 candidates who went in for the Fako 1B section president were Elukempai Ephraim, Luma Ekema Francis, and Galengumba Eric. At the end of the day, Sango Elukempai Ephraim emerged victorious after smashing his opponents with an overwhelming victory. Madame Liko Wangumba succinctly secured a win as WCPDM section president, while Ndumbe James changed the game to secure the YCPDM section president position. The results were proclaimed by Ewusi Elvis, electoral committee head for Fako 1B, who told the population the elections were hitch-free. The proclamation of results was followed by a thunderous jubilation, especially as militants in Fako 1B had been eager to see change in their section, which had been characterized by in-house fighting. The campaign chair for the winning theme, Chief Walker Daniel Ndive, said he was optimistic of his candidate and he's sure they are up to the task.
As you can see, I'm a very happy person for being the head of the campaign team for the list of Mulamba Ephraim that has just won the section of Fako 1B. I campaigned for the CPDM Fako 1B for the list of Mulamba Ephraim. It has won. I campaigned for the list of Mr. Milo James for the YCPDM, the list won. I campaigned for the list of Mamiliko Anna, and the list has won. So I can only say that I'm a very happy person, full with satisfaction and emotions.
When quizzed on his immediate plan of action, Sango Elukembai had this to say. It is now certain that the political atmosphere of Limbe 1B will have to take a new dimension, with Sankombai Ephraim as the section president of Fako 1B. The new party boss for Fako 1B, who doubles as the first deputy mayor for Limbetu Council, is being described as a man with huge managerial skills, which he gained while working with the national oil refinery Sonara. His accolades will have to tap from his rich professional and managerial skills for them to achieve the set goals.
Now, as the international community celebrated the International Day of Peace, Bamenda city dwellers have been advocating for peace to reign in a region that has witnessed several bitter confrontations, school boycott, persistent ghost towns, and roadblocks. Northwest correspondent Charles Kebwa paints a picture of Bamenda.
As the international community this September 21st, 2021 celebrates the International Day of Peace under the theme Recovering Better for an Equitable and Sustainable World with focus on humankind, collective recovery from effects of the pandemic hitting the underprivileged and marginalized groups the hardest, the Northwest region has witnessed several bitter confrontations of recent and conflict of every kind. City dwellers and some actors have been advocating for peace to reign in the region. Faced with diction, ongoing sociopolitical unrest, school boycotts, persistent ghost town amidst numerous roadblocks and stay-at-home policy imposed by secessionists, separatist fighters and armed groups, with no meaningful move in tackling the crisis but giving room and upgrade in guerrilla tactics. The crisis escalated with armed groups launching sporadic attacks on government forces. This day devoted to strengthening ideas of peace amongst all nations and people, with much that remains to be done in confrontations. Time we work together and fully implement peace agreements and the ongoing Anglophone crisis for lasting peace in the two English-speaking regions of the country. For if there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nation, peace in the cities, divisions, subdivisions, and between neighbors, peace in the homes and in hearts. As the region celebrates World Peace Day as a people, let us rise and build our own nation. We need each other. Time we build a sustainable future for our children, for war is costly and peace is priceless. Uphold the values of justice, love, compassion, tolerance, and non-violence, and build cycles to promote a just and peaceful society.
Now, pupils of Government Nursery School Ikoko Mimbia in Bokwanga, Boya now have a befitting structure to enable them study comfortably. The structure was renovated by Colonel Eyenga Severin, commander of the 21st Motorized Infantry Brigade, within the framework of the Army and the nation. Clarissa Kowe with details.
For the past 4 years since the start of the Anglophone crisis, the educational sector in most Anglophone regions have been under severe attacks. This entails the burning down of schools, kidnapping of both teachers and students by armed separatists. The story of JHS Munya has not been different.
The first challenge we have is a security challenge. You can see that so many of the students are not here today because of the crisis we are going through. So we abandoned for 3 years and only came back, and we have not been able to maintain the class.
Given the determination by these students to be educated despite the strained academic conditions, these are members of Munya Ex-Students Association, the batch of 92, also known as MESA 92. They have come with didactic materials and special gifts for some meritorious students and all the teachers of JHS Munya. The symbolic donation, according to one of the members of MESA 92, is in a bid to encourage these students and the teachers to hope for better days ahead.
As for me, it's a school that I passed through. So I decided that I made up my mind after knowing the condition that they're going through, especially during this crisis. I asked myself if they can come back, they brave the fear and come back in this institution, it means they are worth supporting.
The items, which comprise of reams of A4 papers, cartons of chalk, exercise books, among others, according to the principal of Munya, will go a long way to ease teaching and learning by both the teachers and students, respectively.
This school, so many students don't have exercise books. There are times when we come in as teachers to help buy exercise books for them. So with these few exercise books they have had, it's a laudable, it's very, very laudable.
While these students have shown interest and their willingness to pursue their education, people of goodwill have been called upon to join hands and give sound education to these students, among which majority of them are IDPs and whose parents can barely afford for their academic expenses.
That was what are the distribution of didactic materials to students of Government Bilingual High School Muya in the southwest region of Cameroon by the ex-student of Batch 92. Now pupils of Government Nursery School Likoko Membia in Mukwango Boya now have a befitting structure to enable them study comfortably. The structure was renovated by Colonel Eyenge Severing, commander of the 21st Motorized Infantry Brigade within the framework of the Army and the Nation. Details with Clarice Koy once again.
This dilapidated structure with worn-out roofs was the former condition under which pupils of Government Nursery School Likoko Membia had to study.
You know, with the rains in Bokwango, you know, then the zinc and the ceiling were not. At times, the ceiling usually falls off even on children. Yes, so the classroom, it was poor. It was not really good in the sight of those who want quality education for their children. So, but I believe now with the beauty, some who graduated last year have refused to go down to the primary.
Following a commitment taken on the 2nd of August 2021 by Colonel Eyenge Severing, commander of the 21st Motorized Infantry Brigade, to renovate this nursery school, this is the new look of Government Nursery School Likoko Membia.
Our beautiful toilet, oh Jesus, so wonderful. Our God is a good God.
During this event to inaugurate this new structure, the regional delegate of basic education, Madame Elangwe Rose, appreciated the 21st BRIM for taking such initiative to promote education. She also used the occasion to call on others to emulate such example and never to compromise the future of children by ensuring they get sound education.
I came for monitoring to this same school, GS Likoko Membia, where the headmistress informed me of this development. But at that time, this structure, as you see like this, it was like a bush. And I could not believe that a single person could handle the project. I knew that it's only the government who can do it because the whole roof was dilapidated and the walls, it was like a zone one could not come.
As a sign of appreciation and to bid farewell to the transfer Colonel Eyenge Severing, the staff of Government Nursery School Likoko Membia gifted him a portrait.
Now the director of the African Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Cameroonian-born Dr. John Kengasong, has been recognized amongst 100 most influential people of 2021. This was done by the American Times Magazine, as Eileen Sama tells us.
Dr. John Kengasong, the first director of the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, a leading virologist with nearly 30 years of work experience in public health, is among the 7 Africans recognized by the American magazine among the 100 most influential people this year. Before his appointment as director of the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Cameroonian-born virologist was appointed as one of the World Health Organization Director General's special envoys on COVID-19 preparedness and response in early 2020. Also, Dr. Kengasong was most recently awarded the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's 2020 Global Goalkeeper Award for his contributions to the continental response in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic in Africa. It is worth highlighting that before his current position Dr. Kengasong served as acting deputy principal director of the Center for Global Health and chief of the International Laboratory Branch, Division of Global HIV and Tuberculosis for the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Dr. Kengasong holds a master's degree in tropical biomedical science from the Institute of Tropical Medicine in Antwerp, Belgium, and a doctorate in medical sciences from the University of Brussels, Belgium. The highly celebrated Cameroonian virologist, it is worth mentioning, has bagged home numerous awards from his work, including Shepard Award, the William Watson Medal of Excellence, the highest recognition awarded by the U.S. Center for Disease Control, among many others. Dr. Kengasong has authored over 250 peer-reviewed articles in international journals and published several books chapters. Most importantly, he serves on several international advisory boards, including the Coalition of Epidemic Preparedness Initiative and the International AIDS Vaccine Initiative, and more.
News out of the country. Bokengo Wada visited Afghanistan, America, and Haiti and put together the following report.
More than 12,000 Haitian migrants and asylum seekers expelled from the United States are reported to have camped under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas, after wading across the Rio Grande River from Mexico since Sunday, 20th September 2021. Right groups in the United States have blasted the Biden administration for this act. Meanwhile, in Haiti, political crisis worsens after Prime Minister Ariel Henry sacked the chief public prosecutor who had accused him of being involved in the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse on July 7, 2021. This decision has exposed the infighting in Haiti at the highest level of the remains of the country's government, which have been ongoing for more than 2 months after the assassinated President Moïse was shot dead by assassin in his Port-au-Prince private residence. Moving on, more than 100 world leaders converge in New York, headquarters of the United Nations, to discuss on issues affecting the world, with the 5 most being climate change, vaccine inequality, matters of human rights, international peace, international law and cooperation in economic, social, cultural, education, and health fields. Meanwhile, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and other officials have, without relent, tried to convince members of the importance of the organization as the world faces a pivotal point in both the global security issues with COVID-19 and climate policies. Also, an estimated $1 billion have been pledged by donors worldwide to help fight off hunger and poverty that have soared in Afghanistan since August 15 following the fall of Kabul.
We've come to the end of the 6:30 p.m. edition of Prime News on My Media, Prime Television. My name is Fon Quinter. Prima comes up just after the news with Kum Leonard and his team. Thank you for watching. We meet again tomorrow for another edition of the news. Good night.
Since 1993, EUG is 3 schools.